Hello everybody, welcome to episode 14 of Radio Europa. My name's Laura, I'm your host from over in England, and today I'm with Alex from Italy and Darth from Scotland. So today we're going to speak about Anjem Choudary, who is an Islamic hate preacher, and he's currently in prison in Britain at the moment for charges of terrorism, and he's to be released next month in October. So he was sentenced to 5.5 years. He's served around half of it. And he was sent to prison basically for encouraging people to join ISIS. So the prison minister has said that he's still genuinely dangerous. And even lefty rags like The Independent are publishing articles saying that he's dangerous. But for some reason, he's going to be released next month. So just to give a little bit of a background on Anjem Choudary, he's a Pakistani. He was born in London. He has encouraged lots of his followers to join ISIS. He has links to around 500 radical Islamists who have been to fight in Syria. He was linked to the two guys who killed Lee Rigby and also one of the terrorists from the London Bridge attack that we had in England last year. He praised 9/11 and the July 2015 attacks, called them Magnificent Martyrs. And he was convicted because he was publishing videos on YouTube where he was backing ISIS and encouraging people to join ISIS. He also wants the UK to become a Sharia nation, so he wants us to be ruled by Sharia law. He said that there will be a flag over Downing Street with I think it was the sign of Islam or ISIS or some Sharia sign by the year 2020. And he says that they're going to do that because some Muslim families are having around 10 to 12 kids and we're not having any children. So one day they're going to outnumber us, and he's got a point there, to be honest. So that's a little bit of a background on him. He's going to be watched very carefully by specialists in the country. I mean, they're already watching 30,000 radical Islamic extremists, so that's one more for them to watch. He clearly hates us over in Britain, and I don't know why he wants to live among us, because he clearly hates Britain and the British people. But what are your thoughts? Darth, would you like to start? Because I know you've done a bit of research on him. Anything to add?
Well, he's clearly a very, very troubled individual. Obviously, you've got guys who are imprisoned after taking extremist views and are reformed during their prison time. You've got the male who's on LBC, I can't remember his name right now, Majid Nawaz. You've got guys like him who have had similar views, wanting to install caliphates in various countries and subsequently reform, see the error of the ways. However, this guy is clearly not one of those guys. I don't think any amount of prison time is going to change his views on his beliefs on Islam and installing an Islamic caliphate. He's been part of recruitment videos since 1999. You've got guys who went on to fight for Osama bin Laden in various countries, and Anjem Choudary was identified in a recruitment video for various training centres. And I just think this guy, once he comes back out, he'll be straight back to his old ways. I don't care how many specialists are going to be put on him. When you've got law enforcement following 20, 30,000 guys, we have to get it right every time. Whereas with these guys, they only have to get it right once to cause a lot of trouble. Now, he said in his videos that he has no interest in using attacks in the country to push Islam, but people lie all the time, and if he wants to install an Islamic caliphate, then they're going to do whatever they can to push their agenda. And like you said, they plan on outnumbering the British people in the coming time. And when people of Islamic faith generally are having larger families, then that is simply a matter of course. If people in Britain are having 1 and 2 children and people of Islamic families are having 5 and 6 kids, you do the math and you know what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, and he's completely open about the fact that he wants Britain to become an Islamic country. He's completely open about the fact that everybody should be a convert of Islam, and anybody who doesn't follow Islam is the enemy. I mean, this guy has been linked to weapons training exercises that have been carried out in Britain. He, as I said, he was linked to the two guys who killed Lee Rigby, who was a young lad who was chopped up with machetes and almost beheaded in broad daylight in the middle of the street. And also 8 people were killed in the London Bridge terror attack last year. So the fact that he's gone to prison and served 2.5 years is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we have members of National Action over in Britain that serve that get sentenced, to 6 to 8 years just for being members of a group. But this guy has actually encouraged people to go out and kill people. I mean, he's sent praise to ISIS openly many times on YouTube, and for some reason the authorities in Britain just don't seem to think that he's a threat, or they do think he's a threat, but they've let him out of prison. I can't get my head around it. Alex, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, for once, I think we found an honest Muslim. This guy is not going to lie in our faces. He's going to tell you how it is. We're going to replace you, and we're going to make your country our country. So I'm going to give it to this guy. He's honest. He's now playing some Kiev games or stuff like that. But he's clear danger, like most Islamic preachers. And we've seen this all over Europe. Whenever there is some kind of big group of Muslims taking over a part of a city or an entire city, these kind of players get in the game, these kind of preachers, and what happens next is that new generations get radicalized. We've seen this, for example, in Belgium, in Montbelic. That area is basically a factory of extremists, of Muslims ready to, do their jihad thing and kill Europeans. And I wish our leaders would actually learn how to fight this. And a smack on the wrist is not gonna change a Muslim. These people understand only one single thing, and that's force. That's how they grew up in their history as people and as culture. And the moment you don't show force against their aggression, it means you're showing weakness. And this is why all around Europe we're seeing the same pattern. These people come here and do whatever the hell they want, because we allow them. Because the thing is, every time I see people, talking about Islam, I do understand why people think that Islam is the only problem, okay? Because it's one of the things that you see the most, because they're the group of migrants who integrate less, the group of migrants who commit terrorism and all this stuff, but they're just a symptom of a disease, which is basically our leaders. They are allowing this to happen. It's not like Muslims are doing this by themselves. They're being enabled. And people like this guy are being enabled by the British state to create basically terrorism. And it's surreal, because we're talking about the same state that has banned nationalist activists from all around Europe, from Germany, Austria, and also from Canada and America. People that were just going to UK for, they went to attend conferences and like free speech protest, and then they let these people go free. So at some point, someone should ask themselves, is the government really my friend? And the simple answer is no, they really aren't. And especially the Conservative Party. Like, I'm not English, okay? So this is an opinion from an outsider, but I don't think any sane nationalist can vote Tories. They're like the worst party you can vote. And when I say the worst, I really mean it. Voting Labour makes more sense than voting Conservatives at this point. That party completely betrayed every single British citizen. Usually, the leftists say that the Tories are making the bidding of the rich, but not even the rich British are gaining anything of this. Just the bankers. They're literally the party of the bankers. It's truly disappointing that what Conservatives has become this. A party enabling Islamic terrorism and just the population replacement. Makes no sense.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that I worry about is radicalisation in prison, because I'm not sure if he's been segregated. Maybe if somebody's listening, you might know and you might be able to comment underneath. But we're seeing a lot of people turn to Islam in prison. For example, Khalid Massoud, who killed 5 people in the Westminster terror attack last year, he wasn't a Muslim when he went into prison, and then he converted in there and came out a terrorist. So just him being in prison anyway is a risk unless he's being segregated, which I don't think he was high priority, so I don't think he will have been. But this guy, let's not be naive about it. This guy is going to come out and he's going to encourage more violence towards British people, and it's very likely that more people are going to die because he's free. So the British authorities, they have blood on their hands, really. I mean, it sounds dramatic, but they do. They just don't seem to care about us at all. And the thing that annoys me is he shouldn't be in the country anyway, never mind walking free. And I tweeted actually before we started recording this that this is a crime of treason. And I think that if you do that, then you should either be deported or you should be in prison for the rest of your life. I don't think it's an option for you to be walking free after you've done something like this. Did any of you guys see the video that was circulating on social media last year, which had Choudary in it, and he was getting in the face of a police officer? I don't know if you've seen this, Darth, but the police officer had a Help for Heroes wristband on, and Choudary was saying you shouldn't wear that, it's a political sign, and the police officer was like, it's just out of respect for soldiers that have died, I'm not wearing it to be political. And he ended up having to take it off, this Help for Heroes wristband, because Choudary, who's a terrorist, told him that he had to. Did any of you two see that?
No, I never saw the video. It doesn't surprise me. Obviously, the Help for Heroes is primarily a charity for our soldiers, and in general, the people who follow Chowdary's ideology do not like the British and American militaries, and therefore they think that any support of them is a political reason. But if you go and fight for your country, you're not doing that out of a political cause. You have the true belief that you're defending your country and your country's interests. So I think it's strange that Choudary finds that to be offensive and that to be political, yet he lives here. He apparently believes that living here is the best thing for him. So it's a bit of a contradicting statement in my view.
Well, I don't think it's political either, but even if it is, who does he think he is telling British people what they can and can't wear when it's to do with political signs? He's not British, he shouldn't be here. I just think it's ridiculous. And I think the thing that annoys me the most about this story is just how we're bending over backwards to appease him. The fact that police officer had to take that wristband off, and the fact that he's... by the way, he's got 5 children as well. I'm not sure where he gets his money from to pay for these. But also the fact that he's not in prison for encouraging people to kill British people and for saying that he wants Sharia to take over the country. It just absolutely baffles me, and I just really want to be in charge of the country so that I can sort it out. Alex, do you have anything else to add?
Not really. I just want to repeat myself and say, do not vote the Conservatives ever.
One of the things that I think is most worrying about people who speak like him, their main intention is to install an Islamic caliphate. Now, Britain, I think for a long time now, people say it's a Christian nation, but how many people are practicing Christians? It's not as many as people think. A lot of people probably would either portray to have an atheistic point of view or have a Christian kind of belief, but are not practicing Christians. And what I think has caused the Western countries to thrive, yes, they are built on Christian values, they are built on Christian ideology, but there has definitely been a separation of church and state. And I think that is good, because when you have religion and politics mixing, you end up with bad decisions being made. And what I fear is with this increased influence of Islam in Britain, you will eventually have the problem of not church and state, but mosque and state. And you will have eventually the politics of this country being influenced by the religion of Islam. And it's been a foreign religion for a long time. It's not directed the course of this country, and I think you'll see radical changes if the religion of Islam is beginning to influence the politics and the laws of our country.
Yeah, can I add one thing to this? What you said is completely true, and we've seen this all over the United Kingdom. wherever Muslims have a big group of citizens in cities, they form some kind of voting bloc. So what the labor leaders do is they go to the leaders of the Muslim community, and they basically, bargain for their votes. We're going to give you this, and you give us your votes. And that's how labor has won many swing elections, where like labor and conservatives were close, and they always won because of that small chunk of 9-10% of Muslims living in these cities. I've seen this multiple times, and it shows how much political power they already have now that they're still minority. What will happen when they're like, 30-40% civil war? I don't know. It's very dangerous. It's scary. And the thing is, people think that this is going to happen maybe slowly. Like, for example, boomers, they don't care because they're going to die off. But I don't know. In 20-30 years, it could already happen, and even less. These people pop out children like they're a factory. So
yeah, I think to be honest, they do a lot of things well that we don't do anymore, that we should be doing. So, for example, as Darth mentioned, we don't have. We lead such narcissistic lives at the moment. We don't have spirituality. We don't even have a connection to our people. So there's no kind of higher purpose. So we are just kind of living for the moment. And I mean, it links to the whole sphere of things that we talk about as nationalists, rates and stuff, and feminism, and like lad culture and stuff, encouraging people not to have children. And I just think, in a way, that I think that we could learn from Muslims and what they do, because, as you say, they're only 5% of the population. Around, well, they're the documented ones. Those figures are from 2011, but there's around 3 million Muslims in Britain out of a population of 65 million, and just look at the influence that they have. It's just absolutely crazy. Sorry, Darth, you go.
Laura, I was going to say, in response to earlier on, you were saying you weren't sure how he was managing to support a large family.
Yes.
It seems to be that, I don't know how accurate these figures are right now, but when he was out of prison, he was receiving £25,000 in benefits every year, and it is estimated that he has received approximately £500,000 worth of benefits over the last 20 years. Now, this was an article in The Sun from the 29th of December 2016. So I'm guessing it's not going to be that far off of an accurate figure.
Right, so our tax is paying for this terrorist to live in our country and tell us that he wants to kill us and take over our country. It's just, you couldn't make it up. And what can we actually do to fight back against that? Because I know that a lot of people dislike him. Like, he's so openly against us and so openly full of hate for us that even kind of, Labour voters and people on the left and stuff absolutely hate him. So the public is against him. But what can we do? Like, I don't know what we can do as individuals to encourage the government to put him back in prison, because I mean, it took a long time for them to convict him. He was it something like 20 years or something that he was hate preaching? And then they finally managed to get him at the end, and they sentenced him to 5.5 years. Nightmare. Okay, anything else?
No, honestly, as always, as an outsider point of view, I don't know what a British citizen can do beyond not voting the Conservatives and supporting, I guess, UKIP, which, in my opinion, is getting better slowly, but still getting better. I think it was a good thing that Farage is no longer the leader, but just one of the main spokesperson. I like Patan, that's how I pronounce it, right? I think he's doing a rather good job. He's mentioned a couple of times the population replacement, which, in my opinion, is a very important topic that most politicians are too scared to talk about, but everybody knows, especially on their right, they know that it's happening, and they're just scared of talking about it. So, and UKIP is also, I believe, rising in the polls. So, if UKIP can do what they did with Brexit and become, leaders of the populist right, with the support of even foreign allies like Salvini and the other populists, I think they can convince all the people who vote. I mean, it's not like in England there is a lack of right-wingers, because, I mean, Brexit won. The thing is, these people are not being represented by the supposed conservatives. Like, yesterday I was browsing my Twitter timeline, and I saw this bill that is being proposed for forum regulation in the United Kingdom, and it was one of those classic 1984 bullshit, typical of the United Kingdom, And I was like, well, this has to be coming from some crazy leftist, okay, some cat lady. So I checked the names, and at the beginning, I see some names I don't know. I see David Lammy, and then I see Mogg. So these people that are supposed to be defending the rights of British citizens, in the end are siding with Labour to censor us. I mean, to censor you. Like this bill is basically a way to basically put the responsibility on moderators of online forums. They're basically forced to delay hate speech and hateful content, or they will pay the consequences. This is very dangerous because right now most right-wingers have no other way to discuss stuff on public social media because you get banned or even reported in the United Kingdom. So forums usually are a way to escape that, but now they want to change that. It's really worrying. And someone like Mogg, that I used to believe was one of the few good conservatives, has shown to be like the others.
Yeah, Mogg is I think he's very intelligent and he's good when it comes to things like Brexit, but we need to not kid ourselves and think that he's one of us because he's not. He also said that Enoch Powell's speech was, I can't remember exactly, they were completely against Enoch Powell's review. It was racist, and his father denounced it, and he denounces it too. So he's not one of us at all. I'm not surprised to see David Lammy on there. He's my worst politician, as you know. I'm always tweeting him. Alex, would you like to tell us about your Defend Europa project that you're running at the moment before we wrap it up?
Yes, with pleasure. So recently I had the idea to start this small project for the various European Defend Europa readers, which is entitled What Does It Mean to Be? The first episode was about Portugal. And this project is about Defend Europa readers telling us what it means to be from their country. So, for example, the first article was written by a dear friend of mine, Berao, who's now officially joining the Defend Europa team. And he basically told us in not so many words what it means to be Portuguese. And I think it's a very important project because Europe is always, under attack by the so-called progressive left saying we need diversity, we need more people that are different from us to enrich our cultures, blah blah blah. But when you look at the map of Europe, there is no such a diverse continent like Europe. There are so many countries, and in every single country there are so many different regions, and this can be applied to any country in Europe. And I think we need to embrace our good diversity, that's the way I call it. And what's the best way to celebrate it if not having people from those countries to just tell us about them? I think it's a nice and positive way to engage readers and also show how beautiful Europe is.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Alex. I think with our current climate in Western Europe, the problem we have is we're so focused on diversity of thought, diversity of people, we are very quickly forgetting what our roots are, and we're focused on we need to think about all of these cultures that have come into our countries and enjoy the diversity of that. That's all fine and well if that's what you want to
we just
follow.
Forgot to embrace who we are, our heritage, our identity.
Definitely.
And if you want to take part in this project, please contact me on my Twitter, which is going to be linked in the description, or my email, alexdefendeuropa@protonmail.com.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the first part of the series is up on our website now, and it's been shared on our Twitter account. So that's Portugal, the first episode. But I think Alex has already got a few other people from different countries.
Yes,
if
I do.
anyone's listening, and if you want to contribute any information about what it means to be from your country, feel free to do it. I know that some of the Defend Europa guys might be doing England, might they? But there's lots of other countries. If anyone wants to chip in, feel free to get in touch. Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Any final thoughts or anything, guys, or should we just finish there?
Yeah, just one quick thing. The countries being taken really are France, Montenegro, and Switzerland. So if you're part of any other country, feel free to contact me.
Okay, Darth, were you going to say something?
No, I think we nailed it on the head. Short and sweet sounds good.
Okay, I had a little bit of a rant, didn't I, about Choudary, but I absolutely hate him. He's absolute scum. Just his face irritates me so much. Okay, well, if you listen, thank you for listening. Do give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. And that's it. We'll catch you over on Twitter. So thanks for listening and bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.